The minhag of Bnei Ashkenaz is to say a pasuk from this week's Parsha 3 times in the beginning of the Tefillah of Yom Kippur. V'nislach l'chol adas Bnei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'socham ki l'chol ha'am bishgaga. And it will be forgiven for all of Bnei Yisrael, the entire congregation, v'lager, the ger who lives amongst them, ki l'chol ha'am bishgaga, because the avera was committed bishgaga, by accident, unintentionally. The context of this pasuk is a little bit mysterious. The parsha starts off, "V'chisishku v'lo sa'asu es kol ha'mitzvos ha'ila asher diber Hashem el Moshe, es kol asher tziva Hashem aleichem b'yad Moshe min hayom asher tziva Hashem v'halal l'dorosechem." If the kahal will err and will not do all of the mitzvos that Hashem spoke to Moshe, everything that Hashem commanded to Moshe, from the time that Hashem began to command him, v'hala, and forward l'dorosechem. A very l'chora extraordinary scenario. And yet the Ramban points out that such scenarios can occur and have occurred throughout Jewish history, where the entire Jewish nation, or the majority of it, have failed to follow or failed to keep the entire Torah. He says in the time of Golus Rishon, when Am Yisrael, or most of Am Yisrael, thought that the bris with Hashem had been annulled and there was no more relationship with us in the Ribono Shel Olam, and there was no more need to keep the Torah. We were no longer mechuyev to the Torah, and Hashem was no longer mechuyev to us. It says in the days of the Malchi Yisrael, B'mei Malchi Yisrael HaRishayim Kigon Yeravam, Sheshakchu Rov Ha'am HaTorah VeHaMitzvos L'Gamri, that the wickedness of those kings caused the majority of the people to forget the entire Torah and not keep any of the mitzvos completely. B'yameinu, since the Enlightenment, we see that. L'tza'arenu, a majority of Am Yisrael is not observant of Torah and mitzvos anymore. So this prophetic parsha in the Torah gives a remedy, provides a path forward. If such a thing happens, and such a thing can happen, says the Torah, so there is a special korban that Am Yisrael brings. V'nislach l'chol adas b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'socham ki l'chol ha'am bishgaga. The parsha afterwards in the Torah discusses what happens if an individual sins in such a way that they don't keep all of the Torah, or as Chazal say, the paradigmatic example is if the entire tzibor or an individual worships avodah zarah b'shogeg accidentally. And so, regarding an individual, the Torah says that it can happen bishgaga accidentally, or it can be biyad ramah v'hanefesh asher ta'aseh biyad ramah sev'nichrasa hanefesh ahi mikerav amah ki dvar Hashem baza v'es mitzvaso hefar. He has scorned the word of Hashem and annulled his mitzvos, but that's only by an individual. By a tzibur, no such clause exists. For a tzibur, for all of Am Yisrael, all the Torah, the only case the Torah gives is the case of shgaga. V'nislach l'chol adas b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'socham ki l'chol ha'am b'shgaga. I think the message is that when it comes to Am Yisrael, and specifically in this week's parsha, coming off the worst avera that Am Yisrael committed in the Midbar, perhaps even worse, or certainly the Makeh B'Patish, the final stroke after the Egel Azav, came the avera of the Meraglim. And in the wake of that avera, Hashem said that Am Yisrael can no longer, this generation can't go into Eretz Yisrael anymore. They'll all die in the Midbar. Terrible avera. And yet, afterwards, Hashem tells us, "V'nislach l'chol adas b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'socham ki l'chol ha'am bishgaga," that when Am Yisrael Kulo does an avera, and to a certain extent, it is always considered bishgaga, because Nishmas Am Yisrael, and Am Yisrael as a whole, as a nation, always wants to do the Ratzon Hashem, always wants to be close to the Ribono Shel Olam. An individual can go farther astray. But as part of the Klal Yisrael is always close to the Ribono Shel Olam. And anything that Klal Yisrael might do wrong, even if it's completely abandoning all of Torah and mitzvos, that's all bishgaga. We see that very deeply in our days, certainly in my experience in Tzahal, and more so the shgaga is becoming clearer and clearer as we go along and as we continue to go along. V'nislach l'chol adas b'nei Yisrael, and perhaps that's the message of Yom Kippur as well. We go into Yom Kippur when we say, Hashem, forgive us as a nation, v'nislach l'chol adas b'nei Yisrael, v'lager hagar b'socham, ki l'chol ha'am bishgaga. Really, we want to do the Ratzon Hashem. We want to do, as a kahal, as Am Yisrael, as your nation, ki anu amecha v'ata Elokeinu, anu banecha v'ata avinu, v'ratzonenu lasos ritzonecha. Have a great Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos.